The challenge today is, I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. But when you think about it from the root perspective, where do our challenges arise? And our challenges arise by how we see ourselves. And what I believe Rangan's referring to is there's this quote that I begin my book with and that I've shared in interviews for the last few years. And it's from a writer named Charles Horton Cooley, who wrote this in the 1900s. And what he said is that, I think it's in the 1800s, at the end of the 1800s, towards the 1900s. And he said, and bear with me, and you've got to really listen closely to this. So what he said that the challenge today is, I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. Now, just let that blow your mind for a moment. I will explain it, I promise. I'm not what I think I am. I'm not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am, which means we live in a perception of ourselves. So I'll break it down. If I think Rangan thinks I'm smart, I'll say I feel smart. But if I think Rangan thinks I'm not smart, then I'll say I'm not smart. And so the challenge is that we're basing how we feel about ourselves on what we think someone thinks of us. And the greatest challenge with that is, how do you have any idea if what you think someone thinks about you is even true, and whether that's even the best place to start? So that's where our identity struggles. We start pursuing things in life because we think other people value them. Went crazy, because guess what? When you fake being someone for so long, you think it's your reality. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens to all of us. We play a role at work, we play a role at home, we play a role with our family, we play a role with our friends, and then we think that role is us. Right. And we lose ourselves. And to me, that is the core reason why we're chasing things that are not important to us. We're unhappy despite reaching accolades, and we feel dissatisfied.
So what should our identity be then?
Our identity should start with unlearning everything that we think we know about ourselves.
Okay. And how do we unlearn?
So the best method of unlearning is this. First, and I'm going to get really strategic and tactical, because I think that people need to know what to do rather than a concept. The first thing you do is write down everything you currently are chasing in your life. Make a long
list. Your goals, your dreams, your
dreams,
accomplishments.
Anything that you're currently chasing and pursuing.
Okay.
Write them down. You can write down 3, you can write down 5, you can write down 10, depending on how ambitious you are. Second line, ask yourself, what is the source of that? Where did you get that idea? Did you get that idea from a TV show you saw? Did you get that idea from your parents? Did you get that idea from your mom and your dad, your sister, your cousin? Did you get that idea because your friend just got proposed to on Instagram? Did you get that idea because your friend just got promoted? Did you get that idea because you just broke up?
Right.
Or did you get that idea because you just feel it when you do it, that you feel alive?
So give me a specific example that you had when you were 15, 18, was like a goal or accomplishment that you were chasing, and where it came from.
Absolutely. So my goal when I was young was to be an investment banker. Uh-huh. And when I really asked myself, where did that come from? It came because in my community, small community in London, the most successful person financially was an investment banker. Mm-hmm. So I believed you had to be an investment banker to be successful.
Right.
So when I asked myself that question, where does that come from? It comes from society's version of success, not mine. And then the third thing you ask yourself is, well, then what is mine? What is coming from inside of me? And if you just do that 3-step process, now what you're doing is you're filtering out the noise, and you're starting to listen to your voice. The thing is, you've got a voice inside of you, but it's quiet. It's like Jay, like take note of me, like Lewis, you know. And it's just like trying to get through, and the noise of everyone else's opinions is so loud. So this way you filter it.
How do we start to find out what we truly want then? Not based on what other people think is success. How do we listen to ourselves? And if you've been chasing something your whole life, how do you say, well, actually, that's not what I want. This is.
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes we make is that we confuse inexperience with being unqualified. So because we've not tried a lot of things, we just naturally believe that we can't be that good at them. Mm-hmm. So if I've never spoken on a stage, I just think, oh, I'm probably not good at that. Or if I've never played golf, I'd probably think, oh, I'm probably not good at that. And so we start writing off things without even trying them. So the best method I can share with someone is take the next month, take the next 4 weekends in the month, that gives you 8 days, and get really tactical. Every single day.
That's why you're playing tennis a lot right now.
Yeah, playing tennis. Take the 8 days, go join a course, an online course, a workshop, go and shadow a friend, go to a seminar, a conference, go to reading a book, listen to a podcast. Go and expose yourself to 8 different things in a month.
8 different things?
8 different things in a month. And guess what? In a month, you will have learned what you probably would have learned in 8 years, because most of us test one new thing a year.
Maybe, if
that, exactly, right? Like some people don't even do that. But if you do 8 different things in a month, and this is how you have to see it. If you went to 8 different restaurants in a month, you ask yourself after you eat a meal, like, I had that burrito or I had that taco. Did I like it? Right? The first question you ask yourself is, did I like it? You got to try it first. You got to try it first. You got to go to the restaurant. Yeah. There's no point. So you got to say, did I like it? The second question you ask yourself is, why did I or why did I not like it? Like, why is so important? And I think too many people just go, I like it or I don't like it. Why didn't I like it? And the third question you have to ask yourself, really, really simple, is, do I want to do it again? And if you do, that's what you start uncovering. So my point is, inexperience. Do not misinterpret inexperience for a lack of qualification.
Scarcity and stress. So how does someone find purpose in chaos when they can't even get out of the thinking because they're just trying to survive?
Yeah. So, beautiful question. My biggest answer is, first of all, I empathize with anyone who's been in that situation, I can't ever say I've been in that situation in the same way, but I've experienced similar things.
You've seen a feeling in your life.
Yeah, in my own way. And I've seen my mum go through stuff like that. I know that my mum worked really hard to raise me and my sister while working, while running around. And I've seen my mum be that incredible powerhouse of a person. And the main thing I would say is, what you can do right now is find meaning in what you do. Make what you do meaningful, passionate, and purposeful. You don't need to suddenly look to become an entrepreneur or start a side hustle or find some more time. Find meaning. And the way you find meaning, as you genuinely stop, press pause for a second, and go, what am I living for? Like, what am I living for right now? And if you're living for your child, and if you're living to provide and put food on the table, that is a beautiful thing that we should celebrate more. And sometimes it takes us a moment to stop and celebrate that. And so I would say, find meaning, because you can't always find happiness, you can't always find positivity, but you can always find meaning in that position. So which of these done for you as well, but passion plus strengths plus compassion equals purpose or dharma. And this is also similar with the concept of ikigai in the Japanese terminology, which is reason for being. So you find these in a lot of ancient traditions. But now let's focus on the word passion. How do you know what your passion is? So to break it down, I've been thinking that purpose is like an adult, passion is like a teenager, interest is like a child, and curiosity is the womb. So the birthplace of passion is actually curiosity and interest. And I think we waste so much time trying to be like, what am I really passionate about? What do I really believe in? That's going to take years to figure out. And I've heard you say this too. That's going to take experimenting. It's going to take testing. But the thing you can start with right now is the simplest form of, what am I curious about? What am I interested in? Let me take a course on that, or let me take a seminar on that, or let me go and try that, or let me shadow someone who's done that. And that experimenting process is the only way to unlock your passion.
Relax our heart rate, not empty our mind, but listen to what's happening. What would you say are the 3 questions we should ask ourselves every single day that would help us improve our life?
In that moment?
Internal questions every day during meditation. What should I be asking myself, and what should the world be asking ourselves in order to make sure we're living a purposeful life?
Yeah, what a beautiful question. Yeah, I'd say one of the first questions that always comes to my mind is how can I be of service today? How can I be and this is extended from that first question, how can I be an instrument of love, compassion, and kindness? And that's what I count as service in my own definition. And so what I would say to anyone listening is, define the words yourself. because what service means to me may be different to you.
Right.
And so it's important. But for me, it's like, how can I be of service today? And the reason why I love that is, we've talked about this before, when you're wired for service, you're set up, right? We talked about in the last podcast, like service sets you up to feel satisfaction, to build bonds and create connections, and does so much. So being of service is one of the first questions I would ask. The second question I would ask myself is, what do I love about myself? Right? What do I actually love about myself?
That is probably the most powerful question anyone could ask, because most people never learn to love themselves.
Totally.
And we always find the things that we don't love about ourselves, and we fixate on those things. And that's one of the repeating thoughts in our head that keeps us playing small every day.
All the time. And we talk a lot about today self-love and self-care. But I think, a lot of that starts with self-awareness, which we know about, self-knowledge. But self-knowledge creates self-trust. And a lot of it's like learning to trust ourselves. And it's like, if I don't know what I love about myself, how am I ever going to trust myself? How am I going to trust that I have my best interest at heart?
Yeah.
And so asking yourself, what do you love? And then the third and final question I think I would ask myself is who do I want to be? Right? Who is the person that I need to be, that I can love, that I want to love, that I want to give more love to? Like, what parts of growth are there still available? There's a beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita that says that detachment is not that you own nothing. Detachment is that nothing owns you. And I love it, because to me that summarizes detachment in a way that it's not usually explained. Usually people see detachment as being away from everything. Actually, the greatest detachment is being close to everything and not letting it consume and own you. And that's real power, that's real strength. How many people do we know that have had fame and then that fame has ruined them? So for me, that definition of detachment is possible to practice even in the real world, rather than saying, oh, I'm just going to have a really simple life, I'm just going to have nothing in life. Being able to overcome ego, being able to overcome envy, being able to overcome jealousy, being able to overcome the negative of competitive state. There's a positive competitive state and there's a negative competitive state. Today, when people are looking on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, all you're looking at is, oh, she got that many likes, or he got that many likes, she got engaged, or he got married, or, oh my God, look at her body, or look at that. And it's like, that starts destroying us inside. Envy, jealousy, ego, greed. To be able to have enough clarity to purify yourself of those things is going to alleviate the biggest anxieties and depressions of our time and mental health problems. And we know that. We know that because all the mental health research today suggests that things like isolation, overexposure, we now can have more pain consumption in one day because of what we're exposed to than the pain we would have had in a lifetime. That's huge. Like that's ridiculous to think that in one day, because of the media, news, and social media, we consume more negative than we did in a lifetime. For me, being able to have time, energy, and clarity to focus on self-purification, that is the best thing about being a monk. Because you have that time, reflection, and a process, and an environment that only allows you to become more purified of those things.
To peace and to joy and all that.
The first thing I'd say is I think everyone needs the feeling that they can just come up for some air. Life can often feel like someone's literally drowning you, and you feel like you're drowning and floundering, especially if you're in an extreme case of anxiety or stress or depression. And I feel like you just need to feel like you can just come up for a tiny bit of air. So for that, in the book, I talk about the 3S model, which is your sights, sense, and sounds. What we see, what we hear, and what we smell has a profound impact on our mental state, and we actually underestimate our sense. And I'll give you an example. All of us have been walking around with masks, and someone said this to me the other day, and it hit me. They were saying to me that now that we all wear masks and do this the whole time, I think my mask over there, they were doing this all the time, they realized they couldn't hear people properly. And the reason they couldn't hear people properly is they realized they don't use their ears, they use their eyes to see people's lips. And so actually they're not even using their ears that much, they're using their eyes to follow the lips and know what someone's saying. So actually we depend so much on our eyes in every interaction. How many times have you been looking at someone attractive and you forgot what they were talking about? Right? You're just so engaged with your eyes that you completely even forgot to listen. Right? Or you're so lost in the vision of something again, and you're in a daze, you can't smell anything, you can't taste anything. So we've got to learn to reactivate our senses. So I'll give an example of what I mean. As monks, our life was sight designed, sound designed, and scent designed. What's the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning? For 80% of people, the first thing they see in the morning is their phone, and the last thing they see at night is their phone. That is poor sight design, because you don't even choose what the first message of the day your mind receives.
That actually made my stomach drop. That's a gnarly thought.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine the last thing someone sees is not their partner or their spouse or the person they sleep with. They see their phone. And the first thing in the morning they look at is their phone. And guess what? It's not a good sight, because you're looking at a message that you didn't design for your mind. You're looking at a picture or an image that maybe came through on your Instagram feed that you didn't choose for your mind. So now you've started your day with envy, jealousy, comparison, competition, like all of the monkey mind stuff. And the monkey mind's excited. The monkey mind's on. The monkey mind's like, yeah, we're ready to go. And now you started the day with the monkey mind. So my advice is, start your day with a quote that you love. Start your day with a picture of someone that you love or your family. Start your day with a work of art that inspires you. Start your day with seeing the first thing that you see. Make it so closely connected to your soul and your goal and your purpose that your monk mind naturally comes alive. So as monks, the first thing that we saw was sometimes a teaching that we'd keep next to us. It might be a spiritual text where I just ripped it out of a book and stuck it there next to my bed, so I woke up to that. Just wake up to something that you actually want to see when you wake up. And make it intentional and make it focused. It could even be a reminder on a sticky note. I remember for a long time, I had one when I was a monk that said, I am not this body. Just to disconnect from the fact that I was more than this body. And because we didn't have mirrors in the ashram, it was very easy to forget I was this body. Or I've had other ones that say to me, I'm exactly where I need to be. And I've read that in the morning. And that just reminds me, because so often I wake up feeling anxious that I'm behind on my day or I'm late. And then I actually make up a mess. Whereas if I read, I'm exactly where I need to be, and I remind myself I can start my day there. So that's sight. And that's simple, easy for anyone to do. You don't have to change your mind. You don't need to meditate. You don't have to do anything. The second one is, let's talk about scent design. Now, one of the things I've been missing during quarantine is going to a spa or going to like a resort, because I love massages and I love spas and like me and my wife love getting away. And if you think about it, whenever you go into a spa or a massage space or whatever they're called, or a resort, you can always feel relaxed from the moment you walk in just through the power of scent. It could be the most basic room in the world, but a scent can literally illuminate a whole room. So scents like eucalyptus, lavender, sandalwood, if you've got a diffuser or a candle, and you can make this a part of your routine, before you start your workday, just have a candle that you breathe in for 4 seconds and breathe out for 4 seconds. Have a diffuser in your room that just makes you feel calm, because as soon as you walk in. One thing I've been doing is putting eucalyptus drops into my showers and turning into a natural steam, and I just feel like completely relieving all my sinuses and feeling calm. These are just really practical things you can do to just ease yourself into it. And the third one's sound. This one's so powerful. Sound is underestimated, because now we just have music playing all the time in the background, and the music may not even be intentional, and the lyrics are all over the place, and you've got instruments that are not being played well or in harmony, and you get a pump or like a boost out of it. And I learned about sound in the ashram, and we had sound design. We would wake up to nature sounds. And nature's so aligned with your body and mind. If you look at nature, if you breathe in with the ocean, your breath will just be exactly where it needs to be. If you allow yourself to just be present with the wind, you'll feel your body just slow right down and be calm. Nature just has this amazing way of teaching so many lessons. And so when I lived in New York City, I often found myself getting exhausted, and I started looking into it. And I was thinking, what is it? I work out, I do all this stuff. And I realized that, especially in New York, we deal with a lot of insignificant sound. Something called cognitive load, where your brain is processing irrelevant, insignificant sound of trucks, horns, construction work, and drilling. And so when your ears are trying to make sense of insignificant sound, you're losing energy in an irrelevant way. And so sound design means every room in your home, have a song that plays or music that plays in that room that gives you the feeling you want it to have. Another easy way to do that is before you start work or while you're working, have a song or a playlist that really gets you into the mode that you want to be in when you're doing that. Sound is a beautiful accomplice to any activity you want. So those are 3 simple ways that anyone starting today can bring the ashram to their home by sight, scent, and sound design, because that's how our lives were designed. It's weird the way it sounds, but becoming a monk was my biggest dream growing up. From that time period that I met the monk at 18, which we spoke about the last time I was here. And so that became like my identity from 18 to 22 and then 22 to 25 when I lived as a monk. So it's like that's been my identity for 7 years, at least in my heart and my head. And so when you get to the end of a self-awareness journey, which is actually the beginning, but you get to the end of it because you're like, oh, I'm not a monk anymore. And I'm sure you've gone through similar things like, oh, I'm not a CEO anymore of this, right? Of a business that does this. Or someone else may go through, I'm not married anymore. I'm now divorced. I am now not single anymore, or I'm not alone. I've got kids, right? It's like we all go through these identity transitions in our life. And to me, going from being a monk to not being a monk was the hardest transition that I'd been through at that time. And the question that I'm having is, I'm having reflections on who I truly am and what my skills are, what my strengths are, what my passion is, what my compassion is. And I'm saying, I want to share all of this in like a cool way through entertainment. And I love movies, and that's why the book's full of like pop culture references. And it's who I am and what I love about myself. And then I'm going, but this doesn't align with what monk life is meant to be in a sacred way. And that is like looking in the mirror and going, oh, like I'm not comfortable with that. So when I share that with my teacher and we're having this discussion, his advice, and I think this is the part that you're referring to, he says to me that there's students that come to university and then they become professors, and there are students that come to the university and then they go out and become entrepreneurs or go out and work. And he says, which do you think are better? I'm like, I mean, neither really. Like, I can't really choose what makes someone better. And he was just like, that's the point. You came here. Some people stay at the monastery and go on to become senior monks and teachers. And some people will go out and do what they do outside. And he goes, but neither is better. And it was the simplest advice. It's one of those pieces of advice that it's all about the person that says it and not necessarily what you're hearing. But for me, it just clarified the judgment I had, the attachment I had, that I could only be happy and purposeful in this way. And that's really what we're all struggling with, that currently we all have a projector screen up here that goes, this is what life's meant to look like for it to be happy. And then down here we have the reality version of what life actually looks like, and we go, oh no, they don't match, that doesn't match, that's not working, that means I'm going in the wrong direction. The funny thing is, the version you have doesn't exist at all. It's just an imagination, it's virtual reality. And the reality that you're experiencing could actually be getting you closer to that goal than you even think, but you just don't want to go down that path because it doesn't look like the one you imagine. And so an ideal life for me is a life, and this applies to a company, an organization, an institution for me, is an ideal life is when we all have a head, a heart, and a hand, all 3 elements together, working in alignment. Without one or the other, we start to lose something. If you only have a head and a heart, you'll find that life is stable.
And define each of those.
Yeah, sure. So a head is the clarity of vision.
What you want.
Knowing what you want, the way you picture life, and being able to navigate and make the decisions to get there. That's a good head. A good heart is being able to understand what your intuition and heart wants, being able to connect and tap into that understanding deeper and beyond the vision you may have painted for yourself. So I often say to people that you'll get to where you want in life, just not in the way you imagined. And that's because the path that's paved up and down is far different to the path we pave. So you can have a great head and a great vision and a great mission and know where you want to go, but if your heart's not able to have that resilience and be able to adapt and have compassion and care and all of that, then you're not going to be able to make the toughest decisions without your heart. But to be able to realize that we need to care and be sustainable and long-lasting requires a heart. And a hand is that service, wanting to pass that on, that which you have, wanting to give it forward, pay it forward. The idea of serving with what you have. I often say to people, your passion is for you, your purpose is for others. Your passion makes you happy, but when you use your passion to make a difference in someone else's life, that's a service, that's a purpose, and that's the hand. So those are my 3 elements of an ideal life. Mentality that you don't even think about helping and getting out of it. So the reason why the victim mindset, it is real in the sense that there are definitely people in the world that have a harder situation than others. That's fact. There's no debating that point, that there are people who have it are harder than other people. There are people that have had it harder than me, but there are also people that have it easier than me. So I've had it harder than some, and same with you. And in our small bubbles, our hardship feels like the worst thing that could ever happen. And that's the craziest thing about pain, is that you only think pain is bad when you're really going through it. And we compare our pain with other people's pain. We say, oh, that person's pain can't be that bad. That person's pain, it's probably a bit less than mine. Because we've never experienced it. So the reason why I encourage people to get out of that mindset is because that's just a one-way ticket to a lifelong commitment to sadness, disappointment, lethargy, complacency, and feeling stuck and lost. There's nothing gained out of feeling sorry for yourself. I don't think there's anyone that I've ever heard say, and I'm open to it, but I've never heard anyone say to me that feeling like a victim my whole life actually helped me find a victory in life. Like, I don't think I've ever heard that. I've never read that in a book. I've never heard it in a documentary. I've never seen it anywhere. So if it's out there, I'm open to it. But when you look at that and you go, is this the life I want to keep living? Do I still want to feel this way? You look at someone like Sindhu Tai, you look at all of these incredible people that have broken barriers. You look at people who were told, Wilma Rudolph was told she would never walk again properly or run at age 9, and went on to be a multiple Olympic gold medalist. When you hear that, you're like, what, really? But that's what's possible. And so no one in the victim mindset has ever seen growth from that mindset. But everyone who has traded that victim mindset for a mindset of acceptance, a mindset of healing, and a mindset of perspective has found their way out. And the mistake we make is we tell people what it's almost like toxic mindset advice, where it's like, oh, stop feeling sorry for yourself, just go out there and do the work. That doesn't work either, because that person needs to accept that they've been through something painful for themselves. So you can't belittle or devalue someone's pain. And often people try and belittle and devalue their own pain to get out of it, but that actually just slows down the process, and then they're back to square one again. So you've got to accept the pain you went through. You've got to accept that you want to heal it.